IPW. I'm your host and IPW commentator, Mark Franchise.
And from the Crucial Squared Circle podcast, one half of IPW's award-winning commentary team, chairwoman of IPW's Mental Wellness Task Force, I'm Davison, Sarai.
On September 19th, IPW came to you live from Full Blast in Battle Creek, Michigan with IPW Brawl. Davison, there were a lot of questions to be answered heading into this event, but I think you would agree that we came out of Brawl with more questions left than answered.
I absolutely agree. The show started with a massive surprise to everyone in attendance, as former or current IPW champion Karam made his huge return to IPW. Franchise, Karam went down with an injury that forced IPW management to hold a tournament to crown an interim IPW champion, which of course Josh Raymond won, only to lose it to leader of the Death Threat Army, Aaron Orion, the very next event. Franchise, you and I have had discussions and wondered what would happen if and when Karam ever came back with the title, and at Brawl we saw just that.
In short order, Karam called Aaron Orion of the Death Threat Army out, noting that Orion had a title match later that night. He basically laid out the threat, daring anybody to enter the ring, and we were pleasantly surprised to see his challenge answered by none other than the lovable psychopath, Death Threat Army member Tommy Vendetta.
In what could have been a main event match on literally any card in the world, opening bout of IPW Brawl featured a finalist from the IPW interim title tournament and the champion who was never defeated for his belt. In a match full of heavy impact and back and forth action, we were reminded why Karam was and continues to be IPW champion, as he was able to defeat former DTA family member in relatively short order. Franchise, you would have to imagine that Aaron Orion heard everything Karam had to say, and I can't help wondering how that affected his mindset for his own match later in the night.
Next up was a bout between the 1-2-3 kid of IPW, the Magic Man himself, Felix Morio, and the black-hearted bastard and former IPW referee, Jeremiah Nazareth. Nazareth had been seen recently getting himself disqualified in various matches due to his use of a billy club, as it appears that he's been working out his frustration on his opponents for the last several months.
I don't know that you're in position to be making such diagnoses, Franchise, but as chairwoman of IPW's Mental Wellness Task Force, I happen to agree with you. Nazareth has been on a tear of violence and cruelty, doing damage to anyone who crosses his path, and that all started when he was violently put through a table at the hands of Jimmy Hype Shelwin.
This match saw a continuation of Nazareth's recent activities, as the back-and-forth match was ended due to disqualification when Nazareth once again used his billy club to inflict injury and misery on his opponent, this time Felix Morio. As if that wasn't enough, once the match was called off, Nazareth set up a table and powerbombed Felix's lifeless body to rubble, demonstrating once again that he values violent domination over collecting victories.
I speculated at the time that the assault on Felix had more to do with sending a message to Hype Shalwin than anything else, and my suspicions were confirmed when IPW offices received the following video promo. Franchise, roll the footage.
Jimmy. What can I say, man? I appreciated your apology. I thought it was genuinely sincere. It was never going to be enough, though, if we're being honest. See, when you put me through that table, I knew that I was going to get my revenge and not accept anything less. I goaded LaDon Sanders into attacking me so I could get a spotlight. With that spotlight, I sent you a message. I beat down LaDon Sanders. I beat down Marco Modelo. I brutalized Felix Morio. I wanted you to see what kind of damage I was capable of. When I sent you through a table myself, it was almost like a release. It was euphoric. I'm going to send you through another fucking table. And I'm going to feel that release one more time. At Grave Danger 2, on October 23rd, I want you in a tables match, Jimmy Shelwin. Then, and only then, can this end.
IPW management has announced it's official. Jimmy Hype Shalwin will face Jeremiah Nazareth in a tables match on October 23rd at Grave Danger 2, coming to you live from the Vandermill Cider facility in Grand Rapids.
Next up was a battle royal to establish a new #1 contender for the Michiana title. Davison Solo was able to win a recent battle royal, making him the #1 contender, only to be attacked from behind and defeated within seconds by the Michiana champion Derek Wolf. Solo made another appearance in this bout alongside Top Gun, Forever Young, Aaron Kaiser, Marco Modelo, Nathan Black, Kyla Coleman, the Swampin' and Stompin' Bogman himself, Brutus Slimy Atwell, and the 24-karat lion Jeremiah Goldney.
The action was fast and furious. and IPW newcomer Top Gun was the first to be eliminated, as one of Forever Young's subscribers pulled him from the apron after nearly avoiding elimination from being tossed over the top rope. After being eliminated, Top Gun returned the favor and super kicked Forever Young's suck up, just before tossing him in the ring where he received a swift and thorough beating.
Despite being on a roll, Aaron Kaiser was eliminated next, followed by Marco Modelo, Nathan Black, and Gold Team members Kyler Coleman and Brutus Moss-covered Atwell. This left Forever Young in the ring alone with Solo, who was the apparent winner until Goldman re-entered the match. While being an official competitor, he never entered the match, which means he had never been eliminated. After some typical Gold Team shenanigans, Solo was able to eliminate Goldman in a spectacular fashion, took the huge victory, and once again made himself the number one contender for the Michiana title. One would think that he has an axe to grind against Derek Wolf, considering his highway robbery the last time they met.
Next up was a match that needs to be seen to be believed. His former friends and Death Threat Army brothers, Adam effing Wick, faced former teammate and trainer, Black Diamond of the DTA, Jack Price. There was bad blood percolating between these men for months, as they exchanged cheap shots and double crosses across multiple shows. While it seemed at various points that they had buried the hatchet, one or the other continued to dig it up and stick it in the other's back.
Jack Price went so far as to blame Aaron O'Ryan for the ongoing animosity, suggesting that this was only happening because Orion wasn't properly running the DTA. Multiple cracks were becoming visible. All of the tension was released in this match. This is not a match for the squeamish. It featured the kind of violence that only makes rare appearances in IPW, as these men battered each other with chairs, literally whipped one another with a belt, and exchanged the kind of offense typically reserved for one's worst enemy. Through all of the chaos, the Black Diamond Jack Price was able to emerge victorious. The end of the match leaves some question as to whether the beef has been squashed between these two, and if there's any potential for a future working relationship between the two.
Due to the severity of the injuries sustained by both Adam Wick and Jack Price, both men have been placed on 30-day medical leave pending further evaluation, meaning the earliest they can return is November. We send our best wishes to both men as they heal up, and as chairwoman of the Mental Wellness Task Force, I hope that both men have found some level of peace. Next up, we saw the newest member of the Gold Team, a massive warrior of information, Todd Alpha, going up against the Colonel of Clapping Cheeks, Don Sanders.
Fans will recall that Goldman was seemingly recruiting the Colonel as a new member for the Gold Team, only to eventually reveal that it was part of Goldman's plot for revenge due to him having his undefeated streak ended by Sanders back at Road to Glory. While the Don Sanders had flashes of brilliance in this bout, his cheeks were ultimately clapped at the giant hands of the biggest Gold Team member, Chad Alpha. Davison, if Goldman was looking for revenge, I would say he's definitely accomplished that in this assault.
Despite being suspended after throwing nacho chips all over Mark franchise, Derek Wolf then made an unannounced appearance. Mr. Wolf told the crowd that he was done being disrespected and mistreated by IPW and play-by-play announcer Mark franchise, then announced that his true purpose for being in attendance was to serve notice to both Mark franchise and IPW management that he was pursuing legal action against them for defamation, libel, creation of a hostile work environment, etc. He then made a sinister offer to Mark franchise: step in the ring and face Wolf like a man, charges would be dropped. Despite my begging and pleading, franchise then headed to the ring.
As much as I was aware that going into the match was a dangerous decision, I wouldn't let the fall of IPW be in any way my doing. I did what I had to, and I got my fucking ass whooped. Eventually getting curb stomped on the Michiana Championship and getting set up for the closing bell before passing out momentarily. I don't know what happened next.
Well, what you didn't get to see is that Solo came through the crowd with a chair, and whether he was doing it to protect you or to enact his revenge, he took out Derek Wolf by using both the chair and the title to knock him into the middle of next week. That's how you wound up with an arm over Derek Wolf, and that's the reason people remember seeing Mark franchise pin Derek Wolf in an IPW ring. Franchise, I hated watching every bit of that, and I don't know if you saw it or not, but I left the booth at one point to beg Mr. Wolf to stop. We exchanged our jokes, but I was very concerned for your safety. I'm glad you made it out of that situation relatively unscathed.
Indeed. Want to know? I've already thanked Solo, but what this means for his immediate future is that he has yet another opportunity to become the youngest ever Michiana champion in IPW history. Solo will get his opportunity for the Michiana title on October 16th at Pink Out, coming live from the Performance Fieldhouse in Paw Paw, Michigan.
That leads us to the main event of the night, where interim IPW champion and leader of the Death Threat Army, Aaron O'Ryan, took on number one contender and rising star in IPW, Jamal King. Franchise, a lot of us have been looking forward to this match for a long time, but early in the match it appeared that things may come to a screeching halt, as Jamal King dove over the top rope to attack Aaron O'Ryan, only to miss and land face first in brutal fashion. It's hard to say whether he ever fully recovered throughout the rest of the bout.
From that point on, Aaron O'Ryan shifted into fifth gear and demonstrated just why he is such a dominant force in IPW. This match saw him punishing King both in and out of the ring, even going into the audience at one point, and while King put up a great fight, O'Ryan proved to be too much, hitting a massive and deadly Death Valley driver just prior to getting the big 1-2-3. Props to Jamal King for putting on yet another incredible performance, but it just wasn't enough to withstand the force of the interim IPW champion.
As O'Ryan celebrated his victory, he was suddenly interrupted by none other than the returning IPW champion himself, the man who has a very real claim to the IPW throne, Karam. While these two titans had an epic stare down, O'Ryan blinked first and left the ring, leaving Karam alone in the ring holding up what he calls the real IPW title. In the following weeks after the event, Aaron O'Ryan reached out to IPW management to let them know that in his opinion, he has torn through all capable IPW competition to his title. He feels that Karam should prove that he is still worthy of being IPW champion, and while he does so, Aaron O'Ryan will be taking time away, saying that he'll return to unify the IPW titles when he feels ready to do so. Karam has not released any statements at this time, but you can be guaranteed that you will hear his thoughts on October 16th at Pink Out, where Karam has signed an open contract to face an opponent of IPW's.
Independence Pro Wrestling is always trying to find new ways to excite and entertain our fans, and in the coming months, we will see several exciting debuts by newly signed IPW talent. On October 23rd at Great Danger, IPW fans will be introduced to national superstar On the Rise and current MLW talent, Myron Reed. Fans will later be introduced to another debuting star, Paragon, who makes his way to IPW on November 7th at our inaugural Jackson event, Onslaught. Davison, we have huge stars making their way to IPW, and the future is looking bright.
IPW fans, Saturday, October 16th is Pink Out, an event that's meant to bring awareness to the fight against breast cancer. IPW will be making a donation to a local charity and will be accepting donations if you'd like to join us in the fight.
Also, be sure to start planning your Halloween costumes because Grave Danger 2 takes place on Saturday, October 23rd. We'll be offering a great prize to the contest winner. That wraps up another edition of the IPW Insider. We will see you this Saturday in Paw Paw, October 16th for IPW Pink Out.